light fuse and get away. One of the very first things I knew how to spell or read, probably. I don't know many people who don't like fireworks. People who shoot fireworks now, kind of a special breed of us. All right, I want some creamer in my coffee. John Brooks was right in 1542 or whenever it was. He said, "He who hath once smelt the smoke is ne'er again free." And that's kind of one of our other little pyro mottos is, you know, you smell the smoke and it kind of gets in your blood. And there's just a certain group of people that we really like that kind of stuff. That's what we do. We entertain people with fire and explosives. The first thing I need to do is go visit the site. We are regulated by the parameters of how much space we have to work in. There's quite a few regulations on how much room we need. You find your groundhog there, Sparky? So I want to look and see where the roads are, where the midway is going to be, where the carnival trailers are going to be, where the people are going to be. All of those factors come into play. We just need to make sure that we are within our codes and far enough away from the barn. These barns were probably built 70 years ago. A lot of yellow heart pine timber, and we sure don't want to burn one of those down. We were down in that hollow, you know, taking our initial measurements from the shoot site itself. Now we're back up from the vantage point of where the spectators are going to be. This is where all the rides are going to be. All the food vendors are back over in here. They usually have all the kiddie land stuff back over along this wall. Ferris wheel usually goes over here. So, but you can kind of see here, you know, as we're looking at it and visualize the fireworks going up right above that tree. I have to provide a listing of all the materials that we'll shoot, 3 and 4 inch shells, and it's an accurate count of what we're going to bring in every day on the fair. And then we submit all of this to the fire marshal's office, who presents it to the county commissioners, who then turn it back to the fire marshal, and he calls me up and says, "Hey, I've got your permit ready." That process in Davidson County takes about 60 days. We just don't put together something in a week. I start working on 4th of July stuff in December. Display fireworks are legal in all 50 states, but they have to be put on by a licensed company. I hold licenses in 4 different states. All right, Joe, I think everybody has heard this phrase at one time or another, and that's, "Let's get ready to rumble." I know just enough to keep me in trouble. Most of what we do is a full turnkey job where we provide all the materials and all the equipment and the technicians and everything. Once we arrive on the site with the materials, then that site becomes ours. We become a hot zone. Only authorized personnel. Back then, what they call a ship show or a drop show was much more common. We, as a customer or the local fire department, would buy the fireworks show for the town. The company would ship it to the fire station, and they would put on the actual display. With the advent of some of the newer regs and the licensing programs, nobody really does many ship shows anymore. Depending on the venue that we're at and how much space we have, different ways you can set up. You can see this zigzag, we call it a herringbone. Each rack has one end it's supported against. The strapping system makes them really nice and rigid. But again, you want to make sure that that's pretty solid and makes it pretty stable. And it's fairly quick. And in the event that something might happen where we have to skedaddle pretty quick, then we have a pretty clear straight run out and to get away. And hopefully we don't have to utilize that. Typically, end of the show, the big grand finale, this is 122 shots. And we get this thing pretty tight. You can pretty much drive a tank over this thing and it's not going to go anywhere. The whole idea is to make it pretty mobile. The history of fireworks goes back thousands of years, so it's evolved. It's been a long process, and it is an art form. It's got history and science. The actual method of making a fireworks shell is the same as it's been for hundreds and hundreds of years. You've got the lift powder that fires it out of the mortar and lights the time delay fuse. The inner part of the shell is where you have a burst charge that actually does break the shell apart. It lights the petals or the stars that create the petals of the flower. You can't imagine how many people come up, oh, you know, can I get a couple of those? No, you cannot. Go away. This fuse, this is the quick match. It burns about 300 feet a second. I mean, it's supposed to go down and across and down and across and down, but it could go down and across and then jump over and start firing here and then jump over and start firing there. So then you got all these. This should go up in about 10 seconds, but it could go up in about 3. We'll tie all of these together, and if I do my job well and don't have to duck in here and relight it, we'll only light one time, hopefully. For you folks who like that 20 or 30 minute fireworks show, people don't realize, you know, the crew shows up early in the day, they work 10, sometimes 12 hours to set up a fireworks show that lasts 12 or 15 minutes. It's quite a labor of love. Thank you, sir. Our biggest fear is the summer thunderstorm that rolls in and just gully washes everything. High winds is really our worst fear, because a little bit of wind here at ground level, you don't know what it's going to be up at altitude. You know, at 300 feet, it could be whipping along 40, 50 miles an hour, and you send a shell up there and then it just, always at a fair or festival, there's flags everywhere. A full-size American flag, if it's standing straight out, that's at least 10 miles an hour. And at 10 miles an hour, I'm gonna start thinking, do we readjust our mortar racks? Do we make any change, or do we just not shoot? Well, one of the things we do like to do, especially when we're at a fair, starting around 5 o'clock, fire in the hole. Just as kind of a tickler, we'll send a big salute up, you know, and the salute is one of those that just kind of goes, boom, yeah. And you can hear them all over town. We'll start sending those up about once every hour. Let the town know, hey, we're open, come ride the rides, come spend some money, come watch the fireworks. Our show is generally the last thing of the evening, the culmination of the day's events. My job is to be ready. When it's time to shoot, we're on time, we're right on cue. There's a little thatch on that we might catch on fire, so your fire extinguisher's right there. You're ready to light that first barrage. Yeah, I get the little butterflies. Let it rip. Fire in the hole. The Principia, or the opening barrage, is what gets everybody's attention. And then our job is just to keep going. The pace will ebb and flow a little bit with the different effects we want. We just don't want a whole lot of dark sky. The sky is our palette and fire is our paint. We want to try to give as many different effects as we can, so people will find something and say, wow, that was really cool. I really like that one. You know, they're watching the fireworks explode up here. They don't always see what's happening on the ground where we're actually firing this thing. And there's a lot of fire coming out of those mortars and stuff flying everywhere. There is an element of danger. Your adrenaline gets pumping. When I come up and start slapping somebody on the back, oh, it's not because you're doing a good job, so your back's on fire. Yeah, it's organized chaos. you build up the crescendo to the grand finale, and that's the big splash at the very end. I've just really loved fireworks all my life. It is one of the most spectacular of the entertainment media. It involves all of your senses. You can see it, and you can smell it, and you can hear it, and you can feel it. So it really encompasses your whole body. Once that finale goes off, and then you hear 50,000 people go, wow! Yeah, that's really what makes it happen for us. Even though they never see me, they see my work.